On today's episode, we're going to talk about tracking your ROI or return on investment on your advertising dollars, whether it's online, whether it's digital, TV, you name it. I'll give you some pointers on how to track that ROI and find out where your leads are really coming from. Let's get into it.
This isn't just any podcast. This is your secret weapon for dominating the market.
This is the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast, and this is your host, Sean McMeen.
Welcome to episode 39 of Restoration Marketing Secrets. I am your host, Sean McMeen, and today we are going to talk about how to track ROI or return on investment for your marketing efforts, whether that is on-the-ground marketing, internet marketing, any kind of marketing. We're going to talk about it, okay? Calculating your return on investment is a critical component to your success as a business owner. All too often, as a business owner myself, I used to just spend money, right? If you don't have the money, you can't spend it, but sometimes you just spend the money. You go buy something, you go invest in something, and you don't look at the return on investment, or you don't have a way to track the return on investment. That's setting yourself up for failure, and you're playing a guessing game. We never want to be in a situation where we are spending $1 and getting $1 back. That doesn't keep us in business. That's a job that is not for entrepreneurs and business owners. We want to make sure if we're spending $1, we're getting a multiple of that back, whether it's 3%, or whether it's 3 times or 10 times or 20 times. We want to make sure we're getting a return on that investment, at least breaking even at a starting point, because there's varying degrees of that return on investment as the investment continues to mature and gets better and over time, right? So just because you start out with a lower return on investment doesn't mean that over time it doesn't make sense to stay with it, as long as you're tracking it. That's the key. So this is really more so about tracking the return on investment versus what to invest in. We've talked about many times about things to invest in for your damage restoration or home services company, but we're going to talk about tracking. So how can you track your return on investment? Let's talk about the areas you should be thinking about of where you should be tracking your return on investment. So let's start off with first, ask yourself, the first thing that you can look at is ask yourself, what are the areas that I'm spending a decent amount of money in to attract more jobs for my business, to attract more projects? Those are the areas you should focus on first. If you're running Google Ads, you should be tracking the ROI there, because you're spending a lot of money. At least if you're doing it right, it's probably going to spend a lot of money, and you should be getting a good ROI from it. Now, let's run down a list of several areas to maybe jog some ideas. Areas you should be tracking, and I'm going to talk about how you track these in just a second. So areas you should be tracking. Number one, every one of our businesses is going to have a main phone number, right? That main phone number should be on our business cards that we hand out, that we network with, and things like that. Keep it on there. That main number should also be on your van, your truck, all of those things. It should also be with your referrals. Okay. Now, when it comes to print media, video, TV, social media, Google Ads, Google Local Service Ads, Google Maps, website, there should be a different tracking number for those. And the reason why is because you want to measure the effectiveness of them. Now, if you go and just launch one ad, I'm not talking about that, you're spending $100 or something like that. I'm talking about where you've thought it out and you're doing a long-term investment or a long-term strategy in a specific area to generate more business for your company. The best way to track that return on investment is by having a tracking number in place, a tracking number that will then forward those calls or that people that are interested in whatever they saw to your main number. And so then with that tracking number, you can see specifically how many calls came in, which of those people have a name, why they called, and whether that converted or not. to a job and what kind of revenue it generated, right? So if you have a tracking number to those online pieces and offline pieces, you're going to have much more success determining your ROI or whether that campaign works. So in roofing, I'm working with roofing companies all the time. And so, if you're doing a mailing campaign, you need to have a tracking number on there so that you know which mailing campaign or which postcard that you sent out actually they're calling about, and whether that was effective and whether that got you an ROI. If you don't have a tracking number on that campaign and they're just calling your regular number, you might get that information sometimes and you might not. So that brings me to the tips here. And so basically what I'm saying is that you need to have tracking numbers in place for all the main areas that you are investing heavily into marketing. And whether it's a couple $100, that's what you're doing right now, have a tracking number for it. If you're investing several thousand, absolutely have a tracking number. If you have a website, have a separate tracking number for that website, because you will know whether you're getting leads coming from your website, whether they're coming from Google Maps, whether they're coming from Google Ads, and then you can determine what works best in your area. Okay. The second component of this, after you put in that tracking in place, is when they actually call, whether you answer the phone or somebody else answers the phone, you're going to ask them how they found you when somebody calls. So dig deep on this. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I just searched it online." Well, where'd you search us online? Did you click somewhere, or did you find us on social media, or where'd you find us online, right? And dig deep on this, because if they found you online because a referral sent them your way, that equates back to the referral person, right? Not necessarily the online side, right? Or a business card. If somebody gave them a business card and they searched your website up online and then they called from your website, if you just asked them where they found you, they would probably say, I searched online. Okay, how'd you know about us online? Oh, somebody told me they gave me your business card, right? So get those questions asked right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. Clearly, you have an emergency. You want to let people understand that you're here to help them, but find out where they came from, okay? Then keep track of it. Whether it's a CRM or some sort of tracking database, we have a CRM that we use for our clients that we allow people to track where that call came from and what tracking number it came from. And then you can put a dollar value to that call, and then you can track your ROI. So that equates back to using tracking numbers for many of those things will help simplify that, but you still have to ask the question, how did you find us? Not just how you found us, but dig deep into how they found us. Don't do the surface level answer if they say online or they saw somebody told them about them, or who told you about us. Like, ask those questions, okay? We already talked about using tracking numbers for high dollar areas. The next component of this is you want to track these numbers on a monthly basis. You want to track the total number of leads that came in from a specific source. You want to track the total number that converted. You also want to know, of those ones that converted for you to go out there and do the job, what sales did that generate for you, right? What sales did that generate for you? And if you're really diving deep and you're digging into your numbers, what was the profit on that, right? What did it cost you to handle that job? Right? So then that gets you your profit margin there. And then you want to take the total spend to generate those leads. So if you were running Google Ads and you spent $5,000 on Google Ads this month, you would take that total spend and you would take the total revenue that you generated from that, right? So you take the total revenue minus the total spend, and that's going to get you your return on investment. So obviously, return on investment is a critical component in order to determine whether that is working or not, right? And so if it's not working, you need to make adjustments. It doesn't mean you need to stop. It doesn't mean that, it's taking some time for it to develop or optimize or do those things, but you have to be aware of those numbers, and over time tracking that on a monthly basis. Have a spreadsheet up. Okay, this is the month of September or October 2023. How many calls did we come in? How many leads were there? What's the estimated sales that we got out of that? What's the completed sales we got out of it? What did it cost us to generate it? Was it Google ads, Facebook ads, Google local services? Was there a management fee to have somebody manage that for us? Or do we have an employee associated with that, right? So what's the total investment there? And then calculate return on investment and also calculate the average cost of each lead, right? For each area. So hopefully that was helpful. We really, this is something that is kind of passionate for me because if you don't track the numbers, you have no way to gauge whether it's successful or not. And you're just working off of assumptions. And you know what assumptions make us. And I'm not going to say it right now because this is a PG show, right? So make sure you are tracking things for your business. And start small if you need to, but at the end of the day, put in tracking numbers, ask those questions when somebody calls, and then that way you can not guess on whether something's working. You can actually know for sure whether something's working. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, this was about how to track your ROI for your marketing efforts. Episode 39 of Restoration Marketing Secrets. Thanks again for following along on the journey. Talk to you next time.
You've been listening to the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast. Sean's not here to just talk the talk. He's walked the walk. With a track record of helping over 70 damage restoration companies and engaging in over 500 conversations with industry owners, he's seen it all. From digital marketing triumphs to the most ingenious growth hacks, he's got the keys to the kingdom, and he's sharing them with you. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, for more, hit the website at restorationmarketing.com. See you next time on the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast.